Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein files.
Epstein files.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein.
Three million pages of documents, 180,000 images, and 2,000 videos. The latest release of files related to the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein is shocking in its size and its content. Investigations are now underway in at least 10 countries. We're still combing through the detail, and every day we uncover more and more about the crimes of the disgraced financier and the people he was connected to. What else is still hidden? Over the next several minutes, we'll discuss the key revelations uncovered so far and the seismic impacts they've had.
I'm Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
It all started exactly 1 week ago. Today, we are producing more than 3 million pages, more than 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images. It's been a whirlwind week. By Friday evening, the new documents showed Epstein and the former Prince Andrew kept a close relationship long after he was convicted in 2008. By the next morning, a photo had emerged of Andrew crouched on all fours over an unidentified woman. He is yet to comment on the latest release of documents, but has always denied any wrongdoing. On Sunday, Peter Mandelson was back in the spotlight. Documents revealed Epstein paid $75,000 into accounts linked to the former UK ambassador to the US between 2003 and 2004. He said he has no record or recollection of receiving the sums and didn't know whether the documents were authentic. Police have now started searches of 2 of his properties. On Monday, emails which appear to be from Sarah Ferguson, the ex-wife of Prince Andrew and former Duchess of York, illustrated the closeness of her relationship with Epstein even whilst he was in prison. In one email, she calls him the brother she always wished for. By Tuesday, the Met Police launched an investigation into Peter Mandelson. Documents suggested he'd been passing market-sensitive material to Epstein when he was business secretary in Gordon Brown's government in the middle of the financial crisis of 2008. He maintains he did not act criminally and did not act for personal gain. But the connections run deeper. Epstein had connections everywhere, from Norway to Poland to Australia. Among them, Bill Gates. On Wednesday, the billionaire said he regretted every minute he spent with Jeffrey Epstein. Among the latest batch of documents, Epstein accused Gates of contracting a sexually transmitted infection from Russian girls, a claim he denies. On Thursday, the Prime Minister himself was facing huge pressure for appointing Mandelson as U.S. ambassador. Starmer fronted the media to apologize. But at the heart of this scandal are the victims, the survivors of the abuse orchestrated by Epstein. For the victims, there are multiple strands. Satisfaction because they campaigned for so long for this, fury at the way that many have been identified, and fear that perhaps some of the worst hasn't been released. This isn't just one abuser or one crime. Yes, Epstein was at the center of it. His web spanned governments, royalty, finance, intelligence-linked circles in the US and the UK. Years of institutional failure. But for survivors, this is their life. This is a case of reopening their trauma, their abuse. And in many cases, they're discovering aspects of their abuse that they didn't know. The Department of Justice accidentally released information about survivors who did not want to be identified. Lawyers have said it's caused irreparable harm to them. Marina Lacera, originally from Brazil, now lives in the US. She met Epstein when she was 14 years old, and he went on to exploit her for 3 years. This is what she had to say. "When I saw my files, I was in shock because there are things in there that I did not know, and I had to find out on that Friday when it was released. And it has drained me because I cannot stop thinking about it. I'm heartbroken about this. I'm extremely stressed. I'm frustrated. I'm sad. I'm feeling every emotion, and they are not good." Ashley Revy was introduced to Epstein sometime after she turned 15. She had this to say on the fight for justice. "We didn't choose this fight. We would much rather have just been moms or gone after our careers and have him just be a distant memory. But we weren't able to heal in peace, so now we're screaming in public because we don't have a choice anymore." Amanda Roberts, sister-in-law of Regina Giuffre, one of the most prominent accusers of Epstein and the former Prince Andrew, spoke about the release. Virginia died by suicide in April 2025. "It's a whirlwind. I felt a moment of such overwhelming emotion because I wish that she was here to see this. She fought so hard and so long against all odds. This moment is bittersweet because we're proud of her and her accomplishments. And finally, the world is really beginning to see the truth. But we miss her greatly in this moment because she should be here." The only institution doing any kind of investigation is Congress, but they don't have charging powers. Ghislaine Maxwell, the only person convicted, is due to give a deposition next week. Survivors want accountability. They want investigations. They want people arrested. They want people charged. They want people jailed. And so releasing these files, for them, it's simply not a closed chapter. Let's focus now on the epicenter of this entire scandal and the politics around the release of these files in the United States. Donald Trump resisted this move for a year. Now he's saying the country should move on. There's been horror at a lot of the fresh revelations that have come out of these 3 million plus documents over the last few days. And people are still going through those things, still finding photographs, still finding identifying information about some of the survivors. The Department of Justice said it expected to have released information erroneously and had set up an email address beforehand for people to get in touch to have things brought down. So they knew this was coming. But they argue they were under a deadline. They say their work is done, that their review of these documents is over, and that there is no grounds to prosecute anyone. Anyone at all. Apart from Epstein, who's dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison for 20 years, no other prosecutions currently being looked at. That is incredibly difficult for many of the survivors to contemplate. They think, how can there be so much information, so much circumstantial information, without anyone else being held accountable? We do know that the FBI were looking into co-conspirators, a number of co-conspirators, but we still don't know who those people are and to what extent they were investigated. Congress is the only real body that's looking into this. It's a Republican-led House of Representatives conducting its investigations. Ghislaine Maxwell next week, but also at the end of the month, the Clintons. The Clintons will be in Congress giving evidence to that committee. They declined for months, but it was the threat of contempt proceedings and potentially jail that has made them decide to come. And they want to do it in public. If that happens, that will keep this thing going in a big way. The material not released, will that ever become public? There's certainly a lot of pressure from members of Congress on both sides and from the survivors to get that stuff released. Some of it apparently is child pornography. Some of it is images of death. But there was also other material of a personal nature, medical nature. And people are asking, what is it? What can we see? All these questions remain. Let's turn to Westminster. The impact of the publication of these files has been profound in the UK. We already knew that Lord Mandelson had been sacked as US ambassador because links to Jeffrey Epstein had emerged last year. But this tranche of documents shows a very different relationship. It shows just how close they were, but also that Lord Mandelson appears to have passed sensitive information to Jeffrey Epstein. UK government information from when Lord Mandelson was business secretary in Gordon Brown's government in the middle of the financial crisis of 2008. And that has really led to an earthquake in British politics. Lord Mandelson is now no longer a member of the House of Lords. He's no longer a member of the Labour Party, in which he was so consequential for the past few decades. There is now a massive question over the Prime Minister himself and whether his future is guaranteed because of his judgment in putting Mandelson in the US ambassador job in the first place. It is no exaggeration to say that the publication of these files could potentially bring down a Prime Minister.